Hi, I'm Olivia. I'm the Witch of Wonderlust, and today I have a book review for you. Before we get started, as always, I'm drinking this milk oolong tea by David's Tea. I know, shocking. I will not try to pronounce this, but it's a milk oolong. It's really good. I'll link it down below if you are a tea advocate as I am. So I have a book review today. It rained for like 20 minutes and I decided, yes, it's the perfect excuse to wear my cloak and bless everyone on the internet with this cloak I found in an antique store. It also matches the book review that we're doing today, New World Witchery, a trove of North American folk magic. And this book is hefty. It's a nice, good size, meaty book. The first time I came into contact with this book or even seen it was when I visited Marshall, the Witch of Southern Light, for the first time. It was sitting on his coffee table and I saw it and I was like, that's a big ass book and it looks interesting. And he had just started it but had nothing but good things to say. And needless to say, after I left and he finished it, he had even more good things to say. Further, I've had multiple people have nothing but praises to sing about this book and I was like, fine, I'll get it and I'll read it. I get it now. I get it. I read it. I love it. And we'll get through why now. So the thing about this book is first of all, I want to say that it's not dense, because that's the thing that I was worried about this meaty ass book, was that I was afraid that it was going to be dense and boring to read. And to be completely honest, as much as I do like most of history, I don't really like reading about it. I like going to museums and learning about history. I like people telling me about it, but there's something about reading like historical books that just bore me to death, and I'm not sure why. But this was not that way. It's not dense. It's actually a very easy read. I think I got through it in like a week. This big ass book I got through in a week because it was just easy to read and I felt like I was just flying through. So the thing is each chapter starts with like history and lore and then moves into practical advice and practical workings and spells, rituals, or just gives you something to grasp and actually apply in real life, which is much appreciated. It covers a lot, and it covers everything from historical to the point where you're like, wow, I can't believe people actually did that, to things that you still see today. And it also talks about how big of a melting pot North America, I mean in general, but North America witchery and traditional North American witchcraft is. And the thing that I do adore a lot as well is that the author did so well at actually giving credit to the cultures and the practices that were both taken and were both inspired from in order to create a lot of these practices that we see today in North American traditional craft. So that, I think, was a really big breath of fresh air, because a lot of the time, while there may be credit due, it's kind of brushed off to the side and not highlighted, whereas it's very much highlighted over and over in this book of where a lot of these practices came from and where they originated and where they are inspired from. So that is like a huge breath of fresh air. I really enjoyed learning about also the history and some of the practices I didn't even know that they branched from those, and I love learning new things. A big thing too is this book is really good about explaining and giving good examples so that you can then take that and put it into your own practice, which again is a big breath of fresh air, because often when I read a lot of other books, it's here's my rituals, here's my spells, take that and roll with it. Whereas this gives you a lot of room to be creative and be adaptable, which is so important. I mean, if you know my content, if you know anything about what I believe in practicing, it's a lot of being adaptable. It's a lot of being creative and cunning and taking what you have and just using it in a way that thinks outside of the box, because that's kind of the fun of it. Further, I'm a crafty person. I love to create things and make things with my hands. And I also grew up, thrifting and making a lot of my clothes and making a lot of just items that I have with my mom and my dad. And that that bridged the gap into traditional craft for me. So, wow, my gears are turning. I'm just trying to go a lot of different places all at once because this book is so great. I'm on the bandwagon. Fine, I'll admit it. It's amazing. The author gives you examples of how to use the things that you already have. So things such as not magic and, putting things into like stitches if you're creating something with crocheting or knitting or you're sewing, doing divination with any kind of book that you have around or the radio or, just a deck of cards that you have. And it's not things that you have to go out to a metaphysical or occult supplies shop to go get, which again, I appreciate a lot because growing up, I wasn't able to do that. And I know that a lot of you are practicing in places or in situations that you feel uncomfortable being open about your practice. So those things are big. And a lot of what traditional witchcraft is practicing and not wanting people to know about it. Further, you don't have, spell candles just out and about and very obvious. You want to keep it on the DL a little bit. And he does such a good job about giving examples of how that was applied historically and how you can apply that now. And also there's crafts in there. So I like to craft things. Moving on, previously stated that I like to craft things and that I did that a lot with my mom and my dad growing up is that he points out that we already have traditions and a practice in a way, and a lot of us may not even realize that because they're so normal. It's such a second nature and day-to-day thing for us. So being able to recognize that we already have practices, we already have traditions that we uphold and we upkeep is really important because then we can take those and do those more intentionally and apply those to the craft that we are hoping to build or maybe already have. And that, I think, is already very invaluable. There's a lot of push of creating your own grimoire and creating your own practice, and there's not a step A, B, C, D, and then there you go. I kind of love that he gives you foundations and then just says, now just figure it out. Just play with it. Try it out. Because that's kind of, again, the whole point of being a traditional practitioner is there is no cut and clear of just this is how it is. There is no box. It is very freeform and it is very creative, and that's kind of the beauty of it. And I think a lot of people get lost in, if I don't have a very specific herb, then I just can't do the spell at all. When in reality, most likely you have some kind of plant ally growing around you that you don't even know about yet that can correspond or help you with that exact same spell or manifestation that you're working on. And the more that you do these practices, the more that you put them to practice and actually apply them, where you go out and you look at, plant allies or just what's around you and actually begin to create a relationship with the land around you, with the people around you, with the spirits around you that you already have, and even the items around you. The more you see, what am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is the bigger the world becomes for you. And all of a sudden you see all of these possibilities, and your perspective of not only just your world, but also the spiritual world and your possibilities and your abilities just expand, because knowledge is power. And it's very well stated in this book. It's a very good and easy read. And I do think that this is a very good beginner book because there's so much history. There's a lot of really good information on where a lot of the things that you probably have already seen on, Instagram and Pinterest and YouTube and TikTok, and you may not have even known where some of those things come from. So basically, yes, I'm a huge fan of this book. I think that every practitioner should have this on their bookshelf. It's just a phenomenal read, and it's practical. Oh my God, it's practical, it's versatile, and allows so much room for creativity and pushes the importance of just making your craft your own and gives you really good ways to actually do that instead of just saying that. So 10 out of 10. absolutely adored this book. I'll leave a link in the description below if you are interested. And also this is available on Scribd. I don't know how you pronounce it. Either way, I'll link that down below as well. It's a subscription, but there are so many books on there, occult and not. There's so many, also as audiobooks. So if you're not in a place that you can actually purchase the full book, or also not in a place that you can just have this book laying around on your coffee table, then that's a really good way to dive into this as well. And it's a little bit more on the DL. But that is all for this book review. I hope that you enjoyed, and I'd really like to know what you thought of this book if you have read it. If not, give it a try. But that's all for this video. Thanks for watching, and as always, best of luck, be kind to each other, and may your gods treat you as you've treated others. Bye.